Tuesday night, 9:36, so not as late as last night, but still late again. Frank's had some obligations, and I've been in our new offices doing some of the electrics and some of the AV work, so we've both been busy boys. But here we are on an accountability call again, as we should be. We had a great accountability call yesterday. Lots of progress in our victim this week from Sunday to Monday. So if we get the same level of progress from Monday to Tuesday as we did from Sunday to Monday, this guy's going to be a freaking expert, which will be awesome. I like that. But let's put him on the line for right now. It is regional consultant Frank Schindler. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I am just absolutely fantastic. I've had a great day. Spent several hours with my granddaughter on spring break. Went out to eat and went bowling, and our son was with us, and we were wearing silly hats and just doing all kinds of fun. But in between, I was doing my ambit business, and then came home and began working some more. So we've had a very productive day with ambit.
And it's interesting, actually. You've been out, you've managed to spend time with your family and stuff like that. But again, because you've got an accountability call tonight, and you've put some time aside to do this, you'll still get what needs to be done. And that's what I think is really good about the system. And obviously the fact that you are following the system, this structure of 2 calls a day, accountability call, 2 calls a day, accountability call. And that's where this structure is so important, because it would have been very easy, Frank, for you to say, if you hadn't had a system, or if you hadn't had the accountability call, say, oh, well, this is just a day where I'm just going to hang out with my son and my granddaughter, which is fine. But, you can sometimes waste a whole day like that. Do you feel like that?
Oh, yeah, that's exactly right. I felt and there's good pressure and there's bad pressure. That was absolutely good pressure. I knew I needed to get back to the office by 5:30 and spend some time working on this. But I'd also spent some time this morning around 10, 11 o'clock, just made a few calls, got a lot of voicemails, but still following up on some from yesterday. And so, yeah, we're definitely on track. And, wow, this has been the best experience of my life. I'm telling you, Richard. As far as business and being with ambit, it's just been amazing.
Great. Well, that's very encouraging. I obviously love to hear that. And again, for those of you who are listening, who are new, you're hearing it from someone who's a little long in the tooth from an ambit business, had success, had slow times, and the thing is, again, it's not what I'm doing. It's not what any kind of system doing. It's just making sure there's structure in place to make sure we do it right. The only thing, I guess, where there is a little bit of system is in the way we structure our invites. I've found that all the alumni really love the invite structure because it just seems to work, and it's just beautifully duplicatable. So, good deal. So let's get into some detail, Frank. So what did we do today?
Oh, again, I kind of go, since I'm older, I really need to really work my business, and so I really treat it like a business. So I'm making a number of calls today. I think I made 11 or 12, but I also made some kind of personal contacts through a couple of other resources. One was I had an email deal that was going on back and forth with a previous ambit where I made connection with ambit on a previous deal, and getting a bill from someone that I've been working with on that. And so, yeah, we've got several interesting things, I think, tonight. So if I can clear my throat, do you just want me to start with where we left off with some of these last night, or how would you like me to do this?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's go one at a time, but give a gap between each one. Don't just roll from one to the other, because even if it's just saying that's perfect, or I would tweak this, or I would change that completely, I just want the opportunity to do the coaching on that, if that's okay. So dive straight on in and let us know about the first one.
Okay, the first one that, if you remember from last night, I had set 2 appointments. One was with my friend OCL, and the other one was with Rod. And Sharon, and so the appointment was for 7:30 tonight. I had set up a three-way with Robert White on that one, and when I made I'm guys, one of the things that I am absolutely proficient in, when it's 7:30, I sit there and watch my clock on my phone to make sure that when it's 7:30, I've got that phone number up and I hit that button exactly at 7:30, so that I'm not wasting their time and I'm not wasting mine. And I called OCL, and it was immediately gone to the voicemail. I waited a minute, called it again. Now I'm under the gun because I've got an 8:15 presentation coming up. I waited another couple of minutes, called again, went right to voicemail. I finally did leave messages. Hey, this was our appointed time that we had scheduled. Sorry I missed you. Call me back. I said I'll call you back, and I did. Last one was basically, hey, I'm sorry, I'm out of time. We have to reschedule. And he texted me about 15 minutes later and said he was so sorry. His phone had actually died, and he wanted to reschedule, and we have rescheduled for tomorrow.
Okay,
so, yep.
Here's one thing. My comment on that is faultless, and to the point where I'm going to pull one part out. I really like you being so fussy about being on time. I think too many people, especially nowadays, the timing thing is kind of a little lax. And I know sometimes we're late because we can't help it and stuff. But I love your attention to detail and the timing. I think it's respectful both for your prospect, but also for yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
How it is, and that's how I'm going to do it. So yeah, good job on that. Great way to field the calls on the voicemail. Sounds like you did good. I just wanted a question. Something when you talk about presentations, you're talking about doing video presentations over the phone, correct?
I am, and thank you for bringing it up. That's very important. That's one of the techniques that I've used. It seems to work fairly well. I like one-on-ones actually better, especially when I'm with a husband and wife. But when there's a distance issue or a time issue, and we've done this many times, where I will simply say, look, I need you to be at your computer at 7:30. I will text them in advance about 10 or 15 minutes. Tell them I'm going to be calling them exactly at 7:15, 7:30, whatever it is. And I will not give them my website. I have it in my phone on my texting, ready to go as soon as I call them and they're on the phone, and then I send them to text and say, are you, and I'll ask them if they're ready, if they're in front of the computer, and I will, at that moment, send them the text so they have the correct spelling of my website, and we rock and roll that way. So, yeah.
Perfect. And again, the coaching from that, again, because we have new people listening to this call, there's a number of different ways, and we use terminology, doing a presentation on the phone, and we talk about one-on-ones and stuff. Just for those who are new, just to make sure you understand what we're talking about, there's a number of different ways you can show the business. One-on-ones would be you and one other person, as the one-on-one sounds like. It's just like you and them, and you'll probably show them the video. You'll have a magazine there with you, and hopefully you've had a little bit of a training from your upline to make sure they show you how to do a presentation properly and how to segue into a three-way call. And we're not going to get into that training on this call, but just want to make sure we clear up the words, what they mean. The second one is a two-on-one, which is where you and your sponsor, or you and an accountability or partner is presenting to your prospect together, which is a great way of doing it because your sponsor or your upline can do the presentation for you. You can sit back and listen. So that's what a two-on-one is. Then there's the presentation over the phone. I like those as well. I call them visual presentations because that way when I'm saying to someone, hey, I want you to take a look what I'm doing, when you're going to be by a computer, their temptation is to say, well, just send me the link or send me the website or whatever. And I do not want to do that. And my way out of that is saying, well, it's actually a visual presentation with a very complicated link, so I don't want to make a mistake with that, and I want to make sure I'm there to answer the question. So I talk about visual presentations rather than websites and links because it's too easy, especially for people under 40. Just send me the link, send me the whatever, send me the, and unfortunately they then have the control of the meeting. If they have the link, they can go and watch it or not whenever they want, and we do not want that. We want to know when they're going to watch it. So Frank is doing it absolutely right. He's holding on to the link until it's the time for the appointment. Confirm they're ready to watch it. Great, yes, okay, good. Send the link. And again, it's great that it's already pre-prepared, because it's very easy for them to spell it wrong, say it ain't working, I can't get it to work, my computer ain't working, ain't going to the video. How was that? Was that a good Texan accent? I added a little bit of whininess in there as well, because you got to know, I can't find it, I ain't working. So that, at least when you have a pre-prepared link, you're not going to have that problem. They'll be able to get to the link, they'll watch the video, and then you'll call them back in 20 minutes or so to make sure you get their questions answered, and again, segue into a three-way call. So they're the different types of presentations, and when Frank talks about doing a video presentation on the phone, that's what he's talking about. It's about someone who's probably, too far away to go and visit. Send them your link. Everybody's got a video link. They can watch the video, and you can answer the question. So, again, some of you who've been in the business for a little while, sorry about that 2 minutes taking time to explain that, but we do have a lot of new people on the phone, and the barriers to people learning very often is people assuming that you know what's going on. And so I like to make sure we clear up the words to make sure people understand what we're talking about. So that's why I took a little bit of time on that.
Right.
So great job, Frank. You did that perfectly. You did it perfectly.
Well, exactly. And let me just add a little bit to that. One of the things, and this is just me, I don't know about anybody else, but when I call somebody up on that particular time and I get them on the website, I actually stay with them. I'll put my phone on mute. And what I'm doing during that time is I ask them if they'll please let me just hear in. They'll put it on speaker. And very often I can play the video on my computer silent or very low, so that I can be right with them step for step in case they have a problem, if they stumble, if they have a problem with the video. And so I will be there for them, but I'm also doing something else. And this is, I'm very good about this. You can ask those that work with me on my three ways. I will send a text before we start the process, telling them I'm going to be calling. Second of all, when I start the first video, I text my three-way, my validation call that I'm starting. When I get to number 3, I tell them I'm on number 3. When we get to 4, I tell them I'm on number 4. By that time, they're already prepared, and I simply do this. I ask them just a simple question, and that is, what did you find interesting? And you can see how excited we are. And when they answer a little bit, I say, hey, would you hold on? I don't ask their permission. I just simply go and call my three-way, put them on the line, say, you know what, I really needed some help on this. And we did that just a few minutes ago, too. So anyway, I didn't mean to go on and on about that, but I thought that was important.
No, I agree. That's a little mini training in there, and I think that's very good. First of all, I really like the way you set up your three-way that way. And again, I do a lot of three-ways, and it'd be wonderful to know exactly where you are in the process, because sometimes a three-way, I'm sitting out there, and it's like an hour after they showed the video, and I'm like, what happened? They say, they weren't interested, or, they didn't, or whatever. I'm like, dude, let me know. I'm sitting there waiting.
Yeah.
And I have to say most people are good, but you're particularly thorough. That's great. And again, the segue into the three-way call, I know a lot of people have a problem with that. And I like the way you do that, Frank. It's very similar to the way I do it. If I'm going to do a three-way and someone says to me, hey, well, my question is, yours is, what did you find interesting? And that's a good question. Mine is, did that make sense? I don't ask the question, what did you think? Because that's not what we want to know. We want to know if it makes sense or if it was interesting to them. And so that's important. So I say, at the end of the video, I'll say, does that make sense? Or Frank says, what did you find interesting? That's great. And then when someone asks me a question, I'll say, you know what, I knew you were going to ask me that. Hold on 1 second. And then I'll just get someone on the call like you do, Frank. I don't tell them I'm going to get someone on the call. I don't say, oh, hold on a second, I want to get my business partner on the call, because they will immediately say, no, don't bother, that's fine. And we want to make sure we get that three-way on. So I'll say, oh, hold on, and you're going to ask me that, hold on a second. and they don't know what you're doing. They think you're looking up the question, the answer, or whatever. And I'll get my three-way on the call, and just like you did, I'll say whoever I'm speaking to. Let's say Sharon. I'll say, Sharon, I've been lucky enough to get Frank on the call, and Frank's my business partner in this business, and he is an expert in the compensation plan. And you were asking about the compensation plan, and he does a much better job of answering that question than me. So, Frank, Frank, if you wouldn't mind answering Sharon's questions, that'd be awesome. Sharon, this is Frank, and then I'll edify you, and then Frank, this is Sharon. She's a good friend of mine. She's really good and excited. I'll edify her, and then we do the transfer. And so that's great. So that's a quick three-way call training. How we do that? Super important, critical to the business. I was not doing it enough when I first started, and I got dragged across the coals by Miriam Wado that explained that I should be doing it. I started doing it, and my business took off. So, it's a great
absolutely.
So, I appreciate you sharing that with us. All right, Frank. So let's. Was there anything else on that one, or should we move on to the next one?
No. That's fine. The next one was Rod and Sharon. This was the other couple, and pretty much everything that I just said to you was exactly what happened. She had a lot of objections, if you remember, from last night, where she'd been in other multi-level businesses. She came across with me again tonight. They were very open. And after they got done watching the video, very, very open. She said, I just don't like this kind of thing. And I said, you know what? I totally get this. I totally understand what you're going through, and I've been there myself. And I understand that this is difficult. And but let me tell you, our company is different. And that's when I said to them, would you hold? And I brought Robert White on the line. And Robert, I just sat back, and Robert went on and began to explain after I introduced him, and it was just great. They are very interested, or he's very interested, and they did both commit to being a customer in June, so that's positive. So anyway, that was the presentation tonight. Okay.
Great, and way to get Rob on the phone. Rob does a great job on three-way calls, so. Yeah, great job on that. Okay, wonderful. That's exactly the right thing to do. Nice bit of success. All right, so next, what's going on next?
This was actually, I've got several, and we won't be able to get through them all tonight, I'm sure, but this was actually a follow-up that I threw in here today. This is a friend of mine named Tracy, and she's actually, we kind of work together in ministry. I'm sort of their pastor / we just work together. And she's got a ministry that's called Phenomenal Women, does an incredible job of helping underprivileged kids. So here several months ago, I sat down, took my little video book. By the way, that's an incredible little tool, that video book. I love it. It's fantastic. And use that with her and her husband.
Hold on one second. Explain what the video book is, because we've put it.
Okay.
People won't understand what that is. Explain what that is.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Get it.
The video book you can get from the Ambit store, and the amount is they cost like $60. I actually got it at Ambition, but it is a small book about maybe 5 by 8 or 5 by 9. When you open it up, it plays the videos that we have on our website automatically, and you can actually click on each video. I put a little speaker on connected, and when I roll that out, this is usually on a 1-on-2, 2-on-2, no more than 3 people. It's got a small screen like it looks like a little tablet, but you just open it up, begins to play automatically, and it's just a marvelous tool. They're enamored by it. They think it's cool. And I put it on a little stand and make it very professional. And that's what it is. Anyway,
Just so for those folks out there that who are looking at the business and sometimes have got started and see everybody with laptops and expensive phones, and maybe you don't necessarily have the money right now, this is a great alternative. Looks like you've got an iPad. Obviously iPads are hundreds of dollars. This is $60. and it does everything you need it to do to show the business. So if you're short of cash and you want to have something that you can use and show the business to, because if you're showing the plan, you're doing the right thing. You've got an opportunity to make money. And this is a great, I'm glad you brought that up, Frank, because it's a great product and a great way to be able to present professionally for $60 without having to go and buy a laptop or an iPad. So,
yeah, absolutely. And it's the other good thing about it is when they change the videos, you can actually download them onto that through your computer on a USB port. So it's, and I've done that also. And you can get them in Spanish as well. So the thing that's really good about that, Richard, is simply this. It's so easy to use. Anybody can open a book and let it play. That's all there is to it.
You're not relying on it getting online either, are you? It's already loaded into the hard drive.
Well, let me tell you, we were doing one with Ron Stroud, who's not one of our newest members, with a young man, Henry, that we talked about the other day. He's going to be coming on board on Sunday. We got to his house. His computer was not working. He couldn't get it on his big screen. His other computer was jerky, and I whipped out my little video book, and he sat there at his desk, and we watched it. It was a great backup tool. There you go.
Awesome.
Yep.
I love it. Okay.
Okay.
Things go with Tracy.
Tracy, this was the bit of the story is I shared it with her. She loves the product. She loves the idea of helping us, and also I threw out the idea back then that hey, listen, this might be a great opportunity for your ministry. And might be something that we can use for your ladies in your ministry to really help, financially. And so I said, why don't we get together with your team, with all your board members, and I'll show you this plan. And she loved the idea. And so what we've done is we have a tentative date stretched out to her next board meeting, which is now April the 8th. I've already set an appointment for the 9th to call her back and get set up a time to do the presentation with all of her group. So there you go. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Make sure you keep score of all the times when you've actually managed to get an appointment, because again, the purpose of this purge call is to get appointments to show the business. Not whether they join or not. We hope they do, but if they don't, that's not the point of this. So make sure you keep score of that, okay? So, all right, so let's move on to
I do, and I do that, and I put it immediately into my calendar and make sure that happens. Now, I had several, Richard. I had several that were left over from yesterday that I'm on my second, and one or two that I'm on my third call, and so tomorrow I'll be on my fourth call on those voicemails. I did have one of my customers that I had approached tonight with a very short invitation and went through exactly those 5 steps that you talked about with her, even though she's my customer. And I set an appointment with her for Sunday afternoon to look at the business. And so Julia is her name. And as I said, she's already been a customer for about a year or so, but we're having her look at the business. And
well, Frank,
anyway,
let me throw you under the bus a little bit on this one, in a good way.
Okay, go ahead.
Because a lot of us have customers of our own and have never had the opportunity to take a look at the business, and it's a shame sometimes an ambit customer will join the business of a different consultant because the person who signed them up as a customer never offered them the business. How did you used the 5 guidelines? Yes, by all means. But do you remember how you invited her? And because everybody should be inviting their customers to take a look at the business and getting on the other side of the bill and making money from it rather than just spending money. How did you? I can hear you rustling through papers, so I'm assuming you're looking at.
Yeah, I was just looking for my script on her. Thank you. I actually this was, as I say, this was over a year ago. And I actually did do the presentation with her, as I remember, and we were doing some other business things, and she immediately pulled out her checkbook and wanted to sign up. And at that time, it was it was just not the right timing. It was not the right thing for her. She was doing it out of the, I'm not sure why, but, and I actually pulled it back, and I felt it was the wrong timing. I didn't really present it right. And so tonight I went back in and I literally went down those 5 points, boom, boom, boom. And I told her this. I said, I'm really in a hurry. I've got to go on to a conference call, which I absolutely did in the next minute, literally. And I said, let's set a time. Boom, I want to show you this business. Sandy and I are excited about it. And so let me do that. And we set a time for Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening at 7:30. And so we'll get her on the computer. We'll get her to look at the business. So, yeah, that's what happened. But, yeah, I totally blew it. At first, I really blew it.
Well, and there you go. So we've got two things there. First of all, a customer who's looking at the business presentation. And secondly, someone that Frank got it wrong with, who's looking at the business presentation. And there's a lot of us who, when we first started, we messed it up. We did the wrong invites. We were too pushy. We weren't pushy enough. We said the wrong things. We said too much. You always get a second time around, and the way to deal with it is exactly as Frank did right then, or to go to the three changes where, what's changed with you, what's changed with the business, and maybe what's changed with them, and now maybe a more appropriate time for them to look at the business again. So there you go. Make sure you invite your customers to look at the business. And if you've spoken to someone before in the business and they said no first time round and it's more than 6 months ago, you can absolutely reel back round and say, and just give them a call and tell them what's changed about the business, and maybe something's changed in their life and it might be an appropriate time to have another look. And the thing is,
absolutely,
the fact that you're still in the business 6 months later is most people do not expect you to do that. So the mere fact that 6 months later and you're still in, it's like, oh wow, you're still doing that? Yeah. And I've promoted twice and I make more money and I've just moved to Dubai. And they're like, wow, really? And it happens all the time. All the time.
It does.
I mean,
yeah.
So definitely swing back
to
these folks.
Yeah.
Right.
It was funny because we were actually out bowling with my granddaughter, and I happened to mention something about Ambit, and she said, "Are you still doing that?" She's 13. Anyway, there we go. Yeah. I wanted to. I'm trying to expand into Maryland, and I have a nephew that lives there, and his name is Paul. And we had approached him again. This goes back a year and a half. I actually have his bill in front of my face. It goes back to October of 2015, a year and a half ago. And so I called him, and here's exactly how I did it. Hey, Paul, I only got a minute. Sandy and I are very excited. Our business is growing, and I know that we talked about this before, but essentially, I want you to actually take a look at this again, and I want you to help me out. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to be my customer, because I know he's already working for my son back there anyway. I want you to be my customer, and I want you to help me get a foothold in Maryland. And he said, absolutely, I don't mind helping you at all, just like that. So I said, you need some more information. I'm going to send you a video tracker, and I'm going to send you to my website, and that's the only time that I'll ever do that is when I know that I've already talked to him, I've already presented it to him, and I'm coming back and I'm saying, I want you to do this, go onto the website, and to get, signed up. And I said, I will follow up with you. Is Thursday good, or does Friday work better? And he said, well, Friday's probably better. So, that was that one. Anyway.
All right. So,
yep.
so let's address that real quick, because you did go
okay.
kind of like away from system a little bit, but I'm okay with that because
a little bit.
We've got because we've got our 5 guidelines, but we do have a 6th guideline, which is to be yourself. Now, this kid is your nephew, right?
Yeah, he's more than a kid. Yeah, he's
okay.
A businessman, a very
apologies.
Successful
My apologies.
Yeah.
Nephew. I'm thinking a boy, of course. But this guy's your nephew.
He's 40,
your nephew.
40. Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So, so you're close. You've got the family relationship, and if it was more suitable for you to go in there using, being yourself than it was to follow the 5 guidelines, I'm okay with that, because you were, your family and you're close. But another way to have gone in would be the change alternative, which is to say, look, we spoke about this 6 months ago. I just want to make sure I'm keeping you up to date. I'm a professional in my business. I just need to keep my people up to date with what's going on. This is what's changed for me, and you can tell them you've promoted and blah blah blah, and then you could say this is what's changed in Ambit, and talk about the expansions and this type of thing. And when you talk about what's changed in Ambit, what I would then do is, in the expansions, is I'd really focus on Maryland, and then I'd say, and that's why I'm calling, and that's why I'm calling you. As I say, I've had massive growth in my business. I've promoted. I'm a regional consultant now. He doesn't know that that's not the highest position in the company. It doesn't matter. You're excited. You're getting promotion. You're making money. Ambit's now grown into these other new cities. States. So I'm getting muddled up with America and England there. Moving into new states, and especially Maryland, because obviously that's where you are. And the biggest growth we're having right now, because the biggest savings we're having in America right now is in Maryland, and that's why I'm calling you. So there's a little bit of salt in the oats in there as well. And say, I really want to make an impact in Maryland, and that's why I'm calling you again. Now, I don't know where you are, and I know people's life changes, so we're still talking about the 3 changes, and I'm not sure where you are in your life or whether this is an appropriate time to take another look. But I'd really appreciate your help to get me a foothold in Maryland, which is using what you used in your thing. So what I've done there is taken your invite that you've done, that you went a little off script, and I've pulled it back and put it back into script using the 3 changes thing that we do when we go back to original people. And ideally, I would encourage my downline to do the same thing. Again, reason being, Frank, you are very talented. You're a great speaker. You can do what is necessary to get people to look at the business. But are you being duplicatable is my point.
Duplicatable, yeah.
That's right. That's the reason why I'm bringing an alternative in there. I respect the invite that you went with, and that you went with rule number 6, which is to be yourself because you were talking to family. But I want those folks who are listening in who are not necessarily speaking to family, but going back to someone who's in Maryland from 6 months ago, try to follow the same rules as we always do, because then it's duplicatable, because then someone else can do this and someone else can do this. So it was taking your invite that you did and just putting it into the 3 changes when you're going back to someone again. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. It's like wearing a pair of shoes. You don't change your shoe size. You actually, and I think that's what really, Richard, what's really helping me on this is that I keep going back to that. I've got those 5 points in front of me all the time. So every time I'm doing this, if I'm talking to somebody off the cuff, or maybe I don't have my script in front of me and I've left a message and I'm out on the road and they call me, I go, oh, what do I say now? I've already prompted that in my mind. I've already got those 5 points, and I kind of trust the Lord on this. Okay, I'm gonna use those 5 points. I'm gonna put it in there, no matter what, and it's absolutely vital. It's changing everything about what I do, and the biggest thing of all, it's taking the fear out of my making those calls. I don't like that big alligator hanging on my neck, But when it's, you understand, it's like it's giving you confidence because you know exactly the road you're traveling each and every time. So yeah, I diverted a little bit here and there, and I appreciate the fact that you recognize that as what it is. And but I am dead set on doing this on a regular basis. It's just the way it works.
Right, and Frank, you hit the nail on the head, because sometimes when you're sitting down and you want to construct an invite, if you change the invite every time, then you're always stressed, thinking, now what can I say? What can I say this time? What can I say this time? You're making it difficult for yourself. But secondly, you're also making it totally unduplicatable. But thirdly, and this is what the biggest nail you hit on the head here, is the fact that you get so practiced at the 5 guidelines that even if you're thrown for a loop and you're out somewhere, and you're suddenly talking to someone and there's an opportunity, because you've used those 5 guidelines for the last 6 months, it comes out, bam, 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 bam. Let's say you're at a gas station, and there's a guy who's filling his car up the other side, and and for whatever reason you start chatting, and there's an opportunity, you say, well, I'm actually just driving to my job interview. I lost my job, and I really need to get something going. For example, right there and then you can say, well, look, I'm filling my car up right now, and I've got to get going, being in a hurry. But I had the same issue, or a friend of mine had the same issue the other day, who had just lost his job, addressing the why. And obviously losing your job is a big problem for you and your family. There's his why. Well, I don't know if this is opportune, but I work with a business here in the DFW area or Maryland area or wherever you guys are that is doing really, really well, and it's looking for solid leadership. And I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea. So there's number 3. Number 4, I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea or not, but I'll tell you what, give me your email address, and I'll send you some information. Now, we're not going to, but we're starting the getting his information lines, as it were. So we follow all the rules. Number 1, being in a hurry. Number 2, your why and his why. Number 3, salting the oats and being excited. The hook, the takeaway, it may or may not be your cup of tea. And this is a guy you've just met in the gas station, applying the same 5 rules and then being intentional. Listen, I don't know if it's going to be your cup of tea or not, but send me your email address. I'll send you some information. This works 100% of the time. I've never had someone not give it to me. They give me their email address. It is joeschmo123@gmail.com. Okay, great. And are you a 214 or a 972 number? And I'm looking down. I'm not even looking up. And that posture gets the phone number, because that's where I'm going to get back to him. I'm saying I'm going to send him some information via email, and there may be a situation where I do. I may send the link that way because I don't want to tell him a lie, but that number's what I want. But I don't want to lead with the number. People don't like giving their numbers out. But when they've just given their email address, they immediately put their telephone number. It's like, if you want to get a girl to kiss you, hold her hand first, right? Hold her hand, take her for a walk, and then maybe you'll get a kiss later on. You don't go for the kiss straight away. You're going to get a slap. so that's exactly it. So that's what I do. In a hurry, why? The hook, the hook, the takeaway, and then give me your email address. Okay, great, and your telephone number, great. I'll be in touch. And he feels great. You've just offered him help. He showed you pain. So I have this thing I've written across my mirror in my bedroom. When I hear pain, I will offer help. Period. 100% of the time, I will never fail. If I hear pain, I will offer help. And I invite them exactly with the same 5 things. So you hit the nail on the head when you said, I've gotten so used to this now, I can use it again and again and again. And you're absolutely right. Thank you. Absolutely right. So that's great. That's really great.
That's right. Well, and that happened with Julia, because I was in the other room. My script was in here. I'd written a script for her, and all of a sudden it all came back to me, and I was totally under pressure about getting to the next call, which was perfect. I literally got to my call within 1 minute of the time that was scheduled. And but I went bam, 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 and immediately got her to respond. And that's the big thing. If you can get them to respond to that, then you're halfway home, at least to get their presentation done. And so that's it's big. I've got these printed up, and I'm gonna put it out to all my team members too. So
yeah, it's great stuff, because when you're sitting there thinking, what should I do for my invite? Don't worry about that. Just give yourself the framework of the 5 guidelines and the information to those 5 guidelines, and you'll always come up with a great invite. So good stuff. All right, what do we got next?
Let's see. This is kind of a funky deal, really, because what happened was I was going through my PDF file and where I keep some of my old bills that I have gotten from people, and this is my dentist, and he was very, very interested. And the way I approached him, and this is really cool, I said, look, you're my dentist, but I need you to be my customer. I'm your customer. You need to be my customer. And so he said, absolutely. So this is several weeks ago, and he got me his bill, and I looked at it, and honestly, he was getting a better rate. And I said, look, this is not going to work for you, but when your time comes up, I'll get back to you. Well, I had it in my PDF file, and sure enough, I saw it there. His contract comes up on the 21st of this month. I said, wow, this is great. So I contacted him. he got back to me and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. My wife already signed up with that other company, and I won't mention the name of the company, but it's starts with a T anyway." And he said my wife just signed up within 10 days ago, even though he had not gone out of his contract, and so we kind of lost that one. And you'll do that. That'll happen. But so that's where we're at. Anyway,
but once again, that's exactly the right thing to do. You couldn't help him straight away. We can't always save people money, and I know a lot of new consultants think, "Oh, we're not always the cheapest." No, we're not. Like Walmart aren't always the cheapest, nor a Costco, nor a Best Buy, nor a this company, nor that company. No one's always the cheapest unless it's off the back of a truck. So just bear in mind that sometimes you're not going to win that business right there and then. So you, as Frank just said, take a note, put it in your calendar with an alert to give them a call about a month. I try to get them a month before their contract comes up, because that's usually early enough. Obviously not in your case because you went with that other company. But you did everything perfectly right. It's just a shame you didn't get it. But the contract will be coming.
Well, the timing was off.
Year.
Yeah. Well,
next year
we'll
get another opportunity. So there we go.
There you go. So yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's we just, as I said, I had a couple of them that were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. No, 4 of them that were left voicemails. I've got Richard. This will be the last one, but this is kind of interesting. I was at a church yesterday bidding on a job for carpet cleaning, and the lady that's working with me there is actually one of my Ambit customers. And so I'm talking to her about her website, and the secretary overheard us. And so I came out and we already been talking about Ambit. I said, "Hey, you need to be my customer." Just blurted it out like that. I felt so stupid because she's sitting at the phone and I'm going, "Okay, just send me a copy of your bill." I just totally blew it, and I'm still haven't gotten the bill, by the way. So I'm going to catch her on Thursday and see if we can get it. But yeah. You, sometimes you just mess up. You just do.
Yeah, Frank, control yourself, dude. You can control yourself. Calm down. I mean, it is.
So
the approach obviously should have been a little bit different, but that's fine. I'm sure she saw the smile on your face, and you'll get another opportunity. But yeah, it's kind of not. If you have the relationship, then maybe you can get away with that sort of stuff. But we need to try and stay kind of a little closer to the mark if we can. But no worries, you'll get another chance there. You're a good man.
I will. And so that was that one other missionary friend of mine that I had actually done a presentation with him back in September in his group. And Robert White was actually with me on that one as well. And so I contacted him. He said, "I'm absolutely not interested in becoming a consultant." I went through the whole steps that we just talked about. He said, "No, I'm not really interested in becoming a consultant, but I will be your customer." And so we, on that level, we've gotten several this week customers. We are getting ready to sign 2 new consultants and possibly a third. So, yeah, it's been a great week already.
Fantastic. Yeah, keep the scores, because on Sunday we'll go through the scores. But that's a great week. This is a long accountability call, but it's okay. We've got some really good coaching opportunities in there. But that's great. Fantastic. A good night. I hear improvements all the time. Be careful wandering off script again. I understand why you did, and you still got the deal. You still got the opportunity to show the plan, so there's not too much criticism there. Just try to stick to something that you can duplicate with your design. But here's the thing: is the invite that you did do could have been applied exactly the same way to the structure we do when we're going back to someone after 6 months. So just if you can, just same invite, but just apply it to the same old rules, because then it's duplicatable. But other than that, I think everything, you did a great job. You obviously left the perfect voicemails for people, and we'll get to follow up them with their 3rd and 4th voicemails. It'll be fun when you start into your fourth voicemail, when you start taking it away from people. I love that.
Yeah, I'm actually anxious about seeing what's going to happen on those. When you get to the second one and they call you back, it's really fun. So yeah. Anyway.
All right, my friend. A great night again. Thank you very much for being on these late accountability calls. But this is so important, and there's people getting so much valuable information. Make sure your team listen to this because there's some really good coaching on this call. So, and I don't mean that I'm being a great coach. That sounded very egotistical.
Oh no.
What I mean is the opportunities lend themselves to some great ways to learn how to do the business and how not to do it. So that's great.
Yeah, and we just sent out emails to all of our team with the EC Writer Facebook and told them to give them the site and let them go for it. So yeah, told them to get on it. And anyway, yeah, we're so grateful. Thank you so much.
Always, Frank. No problem, my friend. This recording will be on the Facebook page tomorrow. It's going to take a little while to edit it because it's quite long, but that's fine. But I'll see you tomorrow night. We've got a team call tomorrow night at 9 o'clock with executive consultant Paul Jenkins on the team call. So that'll be a really good call. But that means that I won't be able to do an accountability call until after that or before if we have time.
Okay, and I've got a presentation at 7:30. So I may not be available until after that time. So we'll worry about that later. Okay?
Thanks, Frank. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.